So it's high time I did a guide for the Cincy. We're here at the put-in. I'm gonna show you the visual gauge. There's really not a great correlation gauge to this one, unfortunately, but the visual's roadside. So this is the former Super Duper grocery store, and that's where you park. And then over there is the fire department. So the put-in, you can put Remsen Fire Department into your put-in. Takeout, you're gonna want the coordinates I'm gonna give you. So prime is right when the water is lapping across this right here. If you even have 2 inches high or a half inch below that ridge, you're toast. Speaking of the gauge, don't message me and ask me if Cincy's in. I don't know either. The only way to know is to come here and check. If you're not gonna do that, don't expect me to. Good rule of thumb is if everything on the Tug Hill is high, if the Hawkinsville gauge on the black is going straight up, your odds here are good. But it comes out of a huge swamp, so it can be very iffy, especially on the spring. So Cincinatti Creek is one of the most southern drainages of the Tug Hill. I think technically it's not even on the Tug Hill. Very important to understand that the headwaters of this creek are a massive swamp. So even when you think enough rain fell into the area that everything should be running, this one might not be. By the flip side, when everything is scary high, this one might be running. It also drops out very, very fast. So use that visual gauge on the bridge and go while the going's good. The put-in's really simple. Just slide in from the railroad tracks right next to your visual. You're gonna boogie down through town and eventually find yourself coming in faster and faster towards the horizon line. This is a sweet 20-foot booth. You want to be looking for a bit of a curler just right of center. This is a really good visual. Go off, pull a huge one, and just lay down a huge booth. From here, you want to clip out to the left, head to about 11 o'clock, and try to just not catch that eddy on the bottom right. While it looks really tempting, it's absolutely notorious for sucking people back around and feeding them into the curtain. Over the years, it has gotten stronger and stronger in its little vortex. If you want to go and just park and huck this thing, there is now a pedestrian bridge just below. So you can go walk around, get back up on River Right, and run laps of just a 20-footer. It's a really great time. Pulling out downstream, you're gonna run through the rest of town. This is the point where you're really gonna have to start watching for trees. If you're out in the summer and everything has leaves, this is gonna be really simple because normally the trees in the river are almost always willows. So if you see willows coming, get on your heightened senses and start looking. It's very important that you remember that while this is really a class 3, class 4 creek, the trees are all of class 5. They are just landmines out and about waiting to get you. Very important if you're running with a crew, maintain spacing and keep your head on a swivel at all times. After a little bit, you're gonna get down to your first really sharp left-hand turn. This is your point of last chance to easily get back to the put-in if you have misjudged the level. Jump the railroad tracks, walk back to town. Otherwise, around this bend, there's gonna be a little bit of boogie and then it's gonna feed into a snappy right-hand turn and go under your first bridge of the day. This spot is, again, quite notorious for trees, so be on your lookout, try to figure out if there's gonna be an eddy, and you're not over until you're past the bridge. You are now in a long, continuous boogie section. This is just gonna go and go and go for quite a while. Enjoy it, and just keep your head on a swivel for trees. Eventually, you are suddenly gonna see a grassy hill in front of you with the river making a very strong right-hand turn. This is the Bridge Rapid. I think the locals call it Indian Falls, but in any case, the whole river is gonna turn into a bunch of diagonals falling downwards and to the right. It's gonna bash into a cliff where it's gonna make a more than 90-degree turn almost back to like 120 degrees left, and it is going to drop off sort of a slotty waterfall. What you want to do is come in hot as soon as you get into that little bit of slack coming around underneath the bridge, spin left with everything you got and drive hard left. Don't try to figure out where you're going, just start driving left and figure it out. What you want to do is find the point all the way on the left side, take a really big right boof, and land in the eddy on the left. This is another one of those points where there could be a terrible tree. So don't just pray for the best. I've gotten burned that way. Scout on your way down, check it, it's an easy spot. Once you're all in the eddy together again, done giving high fives, you're gonna peel out and go down into the next boogie. This is gonna get a little big and tricky. There can be a big pocket hole in the center, and then it's gonna wash out underneath a white footbridge. Again, great spot for a tree to pick up. You're now gonna roll into the longest boogie section of the river. This is just gonna feel like it goes and goes and goes. Often this is compared to the Savage or any other class 3. But be wary when you see houses on the right. At some point, you are going to come up on at least one footbridge. These things tend to come and go. There have been more in the past than there are right now, but there is at least one that is a metal superstructure that's not going anywhere. Jump out on the left as soon as you see it. Give it a good portage. You want to catch the eddy that's about 100 feet up. You don't want to wait until the last second. Put in from on top of the bridge and keep boogieing down. You still got a lot of river left. As you cruise through this boogie, you're going to finally get to kind of a sharp right-hand turn where it starts getting dark. I don't know how else to describe this where you'll notice it, but it always just feels a little shadowy in there. All of a sudden, this is gonna build up and you're gonna see your first house in a really long time on the left. Get to dead center, pull a big boof stroke, and then kick down and land at 45. You definitely don't wanna land this one completely flat as you are landing in only a couple inches of water, but if you just get your bow rocker to make contact, it'll be a soft landing. Catch the big eddy on the right, wait for everyone to catch up. Once you're all together, do a little peel out. You're gonna roll into the steepest section of the run. Down below you, you will see a big bridge tunnel and you'll be able to hear traffic coming. Once you paddle in, this tunnel is super long and surprisingly shallow. You want to be a little bit right of center, build up speed, and boof out on the right. At the right levels, the hole here can be an absolutely terrible low head, so you want to make sure that you get a big skip and get out of there. Boogie down, you're going to quickly get to the next bridge. Because this bridge has a couple different pylons and archways, this is another spot where unfortunate trees have a habit of getting caught, and at times you will be forced to take either one archway or the other. You, in a perfect world, want to go through the left and stay left. Shortly after, there is going to be a sharp right-hand turn. You want to stay high on the outside of the turn, boof pretty much exactly 6 feet off the left wall, and you're going to land in a pocket of water. There's a nice little reconnect there. That's a really good spot. Other places tend to be quite rough. Rip down, stay center, boof a major hole. This hole down here keeps changing. We used to run it all the way on the right. It seems now better centers to the left, but like a lot of things in this run, a lot of rocks and stuff move around constantly. So right now it's center. From here, you got two options. AW takes you out all the way down in the next town, or right below this drop, you can find yourself a little sneaky weaky takeout. That's definitely what the locals do. Try to respect the property owners, get out of there as fast as you can, and don't be a jerk. So like I said, this is an absolute classic. Enjoy this run, get the most out of it. If everything is screaming high, go and try it. But definitely it seems to be the one that is always super disappointing and we never seem to catch. If you do get skunked though, you are super close to the Woodhall, go give that a try.